Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Mackenzie and this is going to be my May reading wrap up. In the month of May, I read 4 books, which is pretty good in my opinion. I know that a lot of people read more, a lot of people read less. I used to be able to read more, but I haven't been reading much lately. I'm actually surprised that I did manage to read 4 books, so I'm super happy with that. I'm just going to pull up my story graph. But before we move into what I read in May, I'm going to show you what I read in April. The only book I actually finished in April was The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd-Jones. Yeah, I had a huge goal for reading in April. I wanted to read so many books of the Book of the Month books that I have. I wanted to have a reading vlog, and I had so many fun goals for this. None of those happened. I have now just random clips of April that I need to go through now, but this was the only one I read. I really enjoyed it. I love Emily Lloyd-Jones' writing so much. I think this is the 3rd book that I've read by that author. I just need to bring up my story graph. I did give this 5 stars. Yeah. This was marketed as a young adult fantasy, and I believe that to be true. There wasn't really any, anything too bad. It does, I think, get violent in some spots, but I think it's fine. YA. Anyway, so this is every 5 years the wild hunt happens. So this book follows 3 characters. They're all really interesting. I like all the main characters. The first one is Branwen. Bronwyn or Branwen? She possesses a gift no other human has, the ability to see and slay monsters. I don't really want to tell you why. It happens at the beginning of the book, but I don't want to spoil anything. And then there's Gideon, or is it Gwydion? Gideon? I don't know, Gideon. Anyways, so Gideon is the least impressive of his magically talented family, but with his ability to control plants and a sleight of hand, he'll do whatever it takes to keep his cruel older brother from becoming a tyrant. Pridiri, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right, is prince born and monster raised. Deep down, the royal crown doesn't interest him. All he wants is to know where he belongs. A trickster, a prince, and a wild huntress. If they band together against the monstrous creatures within the woods, they have a chance to win, but nothing is guaranteed, for all are fair game in love and the hunt. I love this book. I love her writing. It's engaging. There's twists in it. It was good. I do have to say, the beginning was good. The middle, there were parts that were a bit slower, but the end, hooked me back in, and it was awesome. Definitely love this. If you haven't read anything by her yet, I definitely recommend it. Love her books. Okay, so now going into May. I read 2 more Book of the Month books, and then I read 2 on Kindle. The first one I finished in May is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. This is a, what is it called? A Romeo and Juliet-esque story. It's like Romeo and Juliet, but magic. So in this one, there's something called shade. So it's, why am I having a hard time? I feel like I've explained this recently, but I don't remember. Anyways, so The Dagger and the Flame, Romeo and Juliet. So there's 2 gangs. One are the shades, the others are the cloaks. A shade is from this plant and it's magic, but it does bad to you as well. So the shades, they consume this elixir, I guess, and it kind of destroys them on the inside, but it does give them powers. And then the cloaks, that gang, instead of ingesting it and killing themselves slowly over time, they put it into their cloaks, and then they can hide in the shadows in their cloaks, where the shade, they kind of become the shadows and have abilities like that. The shades are more of the assassin type gang, and the cloaks are thieves. This story follows Seraphine and Ransom. Seraphine lives with her mother out of the city and in the farmland, but one day her mother is murdered. And her mother is someone who grows shade and turns it into the elixir and sells it. I cannot think of what that is called right now. That's what her mom does. Anyways, someone decides to take her mom out, so then she escapes and goes to find the cloaks and then becomes a cloak. And then Ransom is a shade, and that is the other main character. That's good. Nora's judging me. Hi, I'm just talking about books. Hi, dogs. The next book I read is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This is the second time that I've picked this one up, and I did complete it this time. I listened to the audiobook for part of it, and then picked it up and read it as well. So this one was fun, entertaining, and it was just a nice, good read. It's shorter as well. This one follows two characters that got married in college, so they'd get the cheaper family housing, and she thought they got divorced, but they didn't. And years later, the guy contacts her again to come to a family wedding with him, because his family believes he's married and he's been creating this whole life they have together. So now she has to pretend to be that person that he's created. I hope that made sense. I thought this was interesting. I actually brought this with me when I went to a friend's wedding. So I went to their wedding, and then in the evening I read a book about a wedding. And it was kind of fun. I forgot to say I rated this one 4 stars, and I also rated this one 4 stars. The next book I read is a Kindle Unlimited book. This one is King of the Cage by Mila Kane. This is a dark mafia romance, Irish mafia romance, but it's also Romeo and Juliet as well. So I read 2 Romeo and Juliet type stories. So the main girl, I think is Italian mafia and he's Irish mafia. They don't normally get along. There's like a feud in their family, but they end up married and fall in love. That's very simple. There's a whole plot in there and everything, and lots of drama and action. But there we go. I don't know what I rate this, maybe 3.75 to 4. I couldn't remember what it was about, but the longer I sat here, I remembered more, and I did enjoy reading it. I thought it was fun. The next one I read is Blackmailing Belle by Holly Roberts. This is the last book, I think, in the Lost Girls series. I don't know if there's going to be any more. I'm not sure. This book came out this year. So if there's more, they won't be released for a little bit. This series is like entertaining. This one is about Belle, and she ends up getting blackmailed to marry the Beast. So it is a dark romance, Beauty and the Beast retelling with magic and lots of drama. This one is also a mafia romance. I don't know. I read 2 mafia romances books. I don't know. Okay. I think it's because when you read a book on Kindle Unlimited, like all the other books it shows you are things that you've read. So since I've read quite a few now mafia romances, they just keep like showing me them. And I'm like, oh sure, yeah, I'll read that one. And then the more I read them, the more they're shown to me. So I think that's why I just keep getting shown mafia romances lately, is because I've read 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 now, however many. So now they keep just popping up. And then I read the other books for this series, so I'm happy to finally read this one. And I did like this one. Then I read Professor Astor by Katharina Mora. This is Off Limits number 3. I read this one in a day. It was very fast paced. This one was okay. I like her books for the most part. I do find there's too much romance, if you know what I mean. There's just too much. It's unnecessary. But I do like the story. You know, I think the story is fun. I like the characters. I like the like troubles they have and like the family things that they have to organize and sort out. All right, I might be positioned a bit differently. I had to switch my battery out. Yes, what was I saying? Professor Astor? I think that's what it was. Yeah, it is like a second chance romance. And then, yeah, between Leia and, I forget his name. His last name is Astor. Adrian. So, Leia and Adrian. So they met in the past, and then a few years later they're reconnected. She's his nanny. He has 2 kids. She's also friends with his cousin, and I forget the other, something about school. Oh, and he is her PhD supervisor. Anyways, yeah, so it's like an off-limits theme romance. It was good. It was fun. It ended happily, so I love books that have a happy ending, because if you're sick and not feeling well, you just want everything to be okay in the end, you know? You can have the book and it can be happy, and then also have like dramatic periods and like sad points, and then in the end, be happy. That's how I like my books to be. And those are all the books I read. I read 5 books in the month of May, which I'm excited about. I'm kind of nervous now that I read more books and just forgot about them because I didn't write them down. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you read in May and what your favorite book was of May.